Oh, hello YouTube, long time no see. My fault, not yours. My name is Stephanie. I run the Every Closet. We are full-time resellers on Poshmark and on eBay. In today's video, we're gonna be going over a very common topic on Poshmark, and that is cases. There's like a lot of very ridiculous cases that you see on the internet, and I'm even going to tell you about one at the end of the video. So stay tuned for that. Apparently, they are having a Poshmark update soon. They're going to allow you to do partial refunds, which is really not something that I asked for, at least. So we'll talk about that a little bit too. I want all y'all to have all the tools you need to win the Poshmark cases that you need to win. And I need you to have the tools that you need to let the cases go that you don't need to win. First and foremost, hey, what's a case on Poshmark? So glad you asked. A case on Poshmark is essentially someone being like, I want to send this back. On eBay, you can set your returns to like, we accept all returns, buyer pay shipping, we'll pay your shipping. But on Poshmark, they set the policies of what constitutes a returnable thing versus what doesn't. And so there's a few Poshmark policies for you to know about. First and foremost, you can't just return it because you changed your mind or you didn't like it. They don't accept returns for that. And honestly, I've never had anyone open a case and then explicitly say, I just changed my mind. But if I did, I do believe that Poshmark support would handle that and just say, hey, we don't do that. The second thing Poshmark does not accept cases for is size. So unless the jeans say like a size 28 on the tag and you said they're a size 30 and nowhere in your description did you say like the tag says 28 but they fit like a size 30 or something like that. If you just list them as a size 30, never mention the 28 and the size tag says 28, they might accept that case because the jeans themselves are saying, hey, I'm a size 28 and you need to make sure your buyer knows that before they purchase it. Even though sizing can be a total crapshoot, and I just bought a pair of jeans that are size 28. Hi, I'm a size 30, 32 most of the time, and I laid them out next to my size 12 jeans from Old Navy, and they were about this much wider, and they were 28. And I was like, see, sizing's crap. But it is kind of on you as the seller to communicate that to your buyer, not in those words, but in the words of like, this says it's a 28-inch waist. I measure 16 inches across. The cases for size should just be determined in your favor unless some extenuating circumstances like you listed an opposite size from the tag, or perhaps you've done something in the case to disqualify yourself from winning it. Like maybe you swore or personally insulted the buyer or something like that. I'm not saying that that's like an official rule of Poshmark's that they will disqualify you for doing those things. I've never seen anyone do that in a case and then win their side of the case. So those are the things Poshmark doesn't accept cases for. They do accept cases for misrepresentations of items. So if there's a flaw on your item, and I mean down to the tiniest little tiny flaw, if there's a flaw and you didn't take a picture of it and disclose it in your listing, in the description I would recommend and in the photos, you have to do both. So if there's a flaw in your item, even if it's a single pull on the sleeve and you think it's nothing, then say that in the description. Because if your buyer finds it and they want to give their item back for whatever reason, it could be because of the pull and it could be because they just changed their mind, you're going to be getting that item back, because if there is an undisclosed flaw, that's like the #1 reason Posh will accept their return and the item's coming back to you. Sale is undone, you don't get your earnings, buyer gets their money back. I do want to talk a little bit about being okay with cases, because I would say about half of all cases that I get, I don't say anything in the case comments, or I say something and that something is, I am so sorry, I missed that, or that was not to your liking or anything like that. Because what cases are is they're returns. And you are a retailer, a secondhand retailer, but a retailer. So you sell clothes or whatever things you resell on the internet. You're a store. You're a business, you're a store, and people will return things. That is to be expected. Every business pretty much accepts returns within like 14 days, or, you know, they all have their own return policies. And I highly recommend your business accept returns as well. On eBay, we fully just do accept returns. We only have like a disagreement with the buyer when there's some sort of misrepresentation or something, or if they've given us negative feedback after we've accepted their return and something like that. On Poshmark, I do a lot of the time accept the returns. So I'll just like, even if I know that like maybe I could win that case, and this is especially true if they bought it in Poshmark Canada. And that's just an unfortunate reality of a cross-border closet. If they bought it on Poshmark US, I am less likely to write the words in there saying I accept this return, because unless it's a very expensive item, I'm probably not going to pay our cross-border shipper to ship that back to us. It's just not worth it to pay that. Like something that I paid $10 for in the thrift, I would never pay $30 US for just to ship it back to me so I can sell it again. Now those cost of goods are $10 from the thrift and $30 US to ship it back to me that one time. So yeah, I'm a lot more lenient on cases when people are trying to return things on Poshmark Canada. If they send you exactly what you sent them back, it's kind of no harm, no foul for you or for your business. You just have your item back. You sold it once, you can sell it again. I know getting a case is stressful, especially the first few, and I know that the people can be really rude in them. And it is your job as the seller to not match that energy. Whatever you have to do, take 20 minutes, go run up and down your street screaming, whatever you need to do, and then come back and then type in your best businessy response. Now, your best businessy response, if it is a crap case and you know you're not in the wrong, doesn't have to be agreeing with them. It does not have to be. I'm just saying, I believe it is in your best interest on Poshmark to pick your battles when it comes to cases, because if you fight tooth and nail every single case you get, Poshmark's not going to side with you for all of those. And then when you really need it, when something like you really need someone to not have their case accepted, Poshmark's going to be like, well, this person always fights the cases and they just clearly don't seem to accept returns. When you can afford it, when you know you can resell that item, when you know that they're gonna send it back to you and it's kind of no harm, no foul, because Poshmark thankfully does pay for the return shipping, then I would just let it go whenever you can. Whenever you can, I would let it go and let them return that item. How much profit did I make from that sale? Is it really worth it to argue with someone over that, or do I want to keep a good customer brand relationship? And also, remember, the relationship you're preserving whenever you have a case, whenever you're replying to a case, sure, you might block that person after and never have to deal with them again, but you can't block Poshmark and they can read all your messages. So whenever that's happening in a case, remember, you're trying to have a professional relationship with the buyer, but if that's dead and gone and you're never gonna sell that person again, you're still trying to maintain a professional relationship with Poshmark. Do not be rude. Do not insult them personally. Do not state things that you do not have evidence for or you don't know to be true. If you're sitting there like, I am 100% sure this thing's authentic, I know it's authentic, and then they come back with screenshots from a website like the one we use, Real Authentication, showing that they said it's fake, or if they come back with some actual proof that this thing is fake, that's going to really hurt your credibility with them and with Poshmark cases in general. So don't say you're sure about anything unless you're sure about that thing, because it's very important to maintain a level of integrity when it comes to cases so that when you need to throw down, Poshmark might be like, okay, we know this person, we've handled many of their cases, we've handled many of their sales, and I do believe them when they say things, that's a relationship you want to maintain. Something which is crazy is smell cases. So someone will open a case and they'll say, this item smells musty or smells like a thrift store. I have never lost one of those cases so far that I've fought against. I might have accepted a few being like, sure, whatever. But when it happens in the States is when I'm like, oh, because they can't prove that, which is actually on your side. Every single time I get a smell case, I reply like this: Hi there. I am so sorry you're not happy with your purchase. Do not apologize for what they're complaining about if you're arguing against it. So do not say, I'm sorry that it smells bad. That's admitting that it smells bad. So say, I'm sorry you're not happy with your purchase. And then I say, we personally clean all of our items, store them in sealed plastic bags in clear sealed boxes. I don't know how a smell could have gotten to this item. Further, I'll say something like, I don't know how this can be determined as true or not. I never lost a case doing that. There was one time when Posh had that little message that comes up, you know, like, we've asked the buyer for more pictures. And I just sent another message being like, hi, don't know why you asked for more pictures. More pictures will not tell you whether or not this smells bad. I'm a reputable seller, and this is something that they can just say if they change their mind, and I can't fight against it because it's smell, but they also can't prove it. And some version of pointing all that out. I've never actually lost one of those cases when I've fought them. So that's how I deal with smell cases. When you deal with size cases, every single time I get a size case, I will say, I'm very sorry that this item is not fitting you the way that you wanted to, or something like that. And then I say, we provide detailed measurements as well as the tag size in all of our listings. Poshmark's own policy is to not accept returns for size or fit. I'm very sorry this doesn't fit you. I don't know how I could have mitigated that as a seller, given all the information that I had about size I provided to you. Is there a chance you could reposh this item or have some other solution? That almost always works. I think the important part that in there is Poshmark's own policy is to not accept returns for fit. I always include some version of that phrase. And often those go my way when I do things like that. When you have a case for authenticity, most of the time you're screwed unless you have proof of authenticity. So if you've authenticated that item and you have screenshots from, like, say, Real Authentication, where we authenticate our luxury goods that we're not sure about, and we have a link in the description if you want to check that out. It's a great link. But yeah, we use them, and so then you can have a screenshot of the screen showing this website, which is known to be one of the more reputable ones, this item, and it says authentic, and then if you got it identified or whatever else, you can show that too, and you'd be like, this professional authenticator said it was authentic, etc. I do really like selling luxury goods over the $500 US mark or $700 Canadian mark for this reason, because if Poshmark has the item, they see it, they've seen it's authentic, and then they ship it to the buyer can't poke a new hole in it and say there was a hole in it because Poshmark already saw it. And they also definitely can't be like, it's not authentic. Poshmark authenticators would be like, we determined. I've actually never had anyone try to do that once it's been determined authentic, but I assume that that would be a really hard sell for the buyer to be like, this isn't authentic. However, most of the time you are a little bit screwed unless you have some sort of proof. If you have a receipt for the item, if you have an authenticity card, if you have like a serial number for the watch or whatever, anything like that, you're probably in the clear. You just got to be like, input that number into Louis Vuitton's database and you'll see. You're like, this is the receipt. So yes, it is. But 99% of the time, whether you're consigning items, thrifting items, whatever items, you don't have that proof. I've had it where people have questioned authenticity of things that I've known were authentic. And I've just said, I'm pretty confident that this is authentic, but if you are unhappy with your purchase, I'm happy to accept it. I've said that like 4 or 5 times because it's like, I can sell that again. I know it's authentic. I know it's a luxury designer. I don't have the proof. I didn't put it through a real authentication for whatever reason. I know often that's because it's a consignment item. And so I'll just go, okay, well, send it back then. Like if you don't want it, just send it back. But if they do that in the States, I will almost always fight it. And the way I try to fight it in the States is just any and all evidence that I have. And also I try to make the person engage me in a back and forth about how it's inauthentic so that I can catch them in a falsehood. Because that's the easiest way out of those cases. And since you don't have proof that it's authentic, there's almost nothing else that you can do on your end. So I will ask questions to the person opening the case, like, what are the things that you're seeing that make you determine it's inauthentic? Or do you have another item like it that you're comparing it against? Is that item authentic? All sorts of questions, and hopefully they'll be caught in some sort of lie or falsehood or thing that you know to be incorrect, like the case that we just had. So let's talk about this case that we just had. It was a bit of a nightmare, and I did not expect to win it. We sold a Michael Kors purse and wallet combination, and we sold them on Poshmark Canada. We got this Michael Kors purse from our biggest consignment client, highest grossing. I don't know what to call her. I feel like I should give her a pseudonym so that I can just refer to her, and then you'd be like, oh, it's her. Poshy? That's stupid. I'm not doing that. Polly Poshmark. That's what her name will be. Okay, one of our biggest consignment clients by a lot. Her name's Polly, we'll say. And Polly has given us, I would say, at least 1,000 distinct items at this point over the last 2.5, 3 years that we've been consigning for her. She has given us things like a authentic Burberry trench coat. She has given us authentic Valentino Tags purses. She has given us a $600 Nixon watch. Many of her items have sold over 500 US or 700 Canadian. She has given us so many items. She has her own bins. So she has, like, the SKU will be Polly, and it'll be tops, accessories, shoes, bottoms, men's clothes. That's how we separate her things. She has given us Tiffany & Co. jewelry. She's given us lots and lots of Pandora jewelry. She's given us Giuseppe Zanotti sneakers. She's given us Mackage coats and Moose Knuckles coats. And I'm just trying to think of all the things that I priced highest from her. She's given us Gucci even. She's given us Versace. She's given us some high-end brands. She also gives us a lot of Newa Tags things, right? So it's not usually Newa Tags, although the one time it was the Newa Tags Valentino purse. That went very well. And that definitely went through Posh Authenticate because it sold for $1,200 US or something like that. Just over that. Anyway, so her things have gone through Posh Authenticate before. So she had given us this matching set of a Michael Kors purse and wallet. We sold this one, accepted an offer for 125 Canadian dollars. It could have gone for more, especially like given it was a matching set and all like that, but Michael Kors has a huge range of what people are willing to pay for it. It sold for $125. And this person, the first thing she did was she opened a case saying that it didn't arrive. Like she couldn't find it. It showed it's delivered, but she couldn't find the package. Which is ironic, because if she had stuck with that story, she would have got her money back. But anyway, an hour or two later, she was like, oh, okay, I found it, but this isn't an authentic Michael Kors purse. And me, this was this month. So it has been a very long time we've been selling Polly's stuff. I was 100% positive this was real. I was like, she didn't give us fake Burberry, fake any of that. You think she gave us a fake Michael Kors purse? She didn't. You also get to know a few markers of authentication as you sell a bunch of designer stuff that then is proved to be authentic, either with Posh Authenticate or Real Authentication or whatever you're using to do that. So once you've seen enough authentic things and then had it confirmed whether or not those things are authentic, you get to know the markers. It was a very obviously true leather purse. It had perfect, like immaculate stitching. It was in basically new condition, which really pissed me off from the case. And it was a matching purse and wallet. It said Michael Kors on the entire inner lining of both. It had Michael Kors on all the metal, or an MK logo in a circle, which is a lot of what they do with their metal engravings if they can't fit the whole Michael Kors. And I knew it was authentic. At this point, I was like, Polly has never given us anything inauthentic before, ever. I had no red flags pop up with this purse. It didn't feel wrong. It didn't feel cheap. It didn't have weird stitching. It had logos on all of the hardware. And so I was like, okay, this is real though, and I know it. But then you're in a tough situation because I know for sure that it was authentic, but how can I prove that to Poshmark and to this buyer? I don't really have proof. I'm like, well, I really trust Polly. It's like, they're not gonna buy that. That's not an actual reason. And so when this case was first opened, I was, half of me was like, I might as well just accept this, right? Because I can just sell this, honestly, maybe for more. And it's in Canada, so she can just ship it back to me and no problem. But for some reason, the fact that she also said that she lost it or like couldn't locate it and then opened the case that it wasn't authentic, I was like, that's weird. That gives me a weird vibe. Another thing that made me do this is she told me she had another wallet. And I was like, What are you doing? So they said, item is not authentic. I expected it was going to be original as the tag inside isn't authentic. People don't use good grammar. I can't help it. And the wallet is much bigger than the one I do have, which is authentic. That is a huge red flag to me because it's like, oh, so you have another Michael Kors wallet. Oh, the feeling is not the same and it's very cheaply made, which I knew for a fact not to be true. I felt it myself. I'm very disappointed. There is no label on the wallet itself. I was like, what do you mean there's no label on the wallet itself? I saw a label on the front, on the everything. I saw labels everywhere on the wallet. So the first thing I said, this is strange for multiple reasons. The most strange part is that I got an email about this case and then an email saying that the buyer couldn't locate this order, which of course, it cannot be both. It cannot be both inauthentic and you couldn't find it. That was before she was like, I found it. Great, thanks. Responding to the claim though, this bag and wallet are authentic and I have 100% confidence in that. I received these from a consignment client that I've been working with for 3 years now and has never given me a single inauthentic item from Michael Kors to Burberry to Valentino, was the first thing I said. Buyer says, this item wasn't located, but when I checked the mailbox today, it was there and it's not authentic. I said the item was delivered 2 days ago, which it wasn't. Bad grammar, I can't help it. Do you have the receipt or proper number of the Michael Kors bag and wallet? This item is 100% not authentic. It bothers me in the world to go around with 100% certainty because I basically don't believe in 100% certainty. If I ever say to you, I'm 100% sure of something, then I am seriously, like, I believe that to be the case with all of my entire being. My certainty for this purse and my actual, like, heart certainty, 96%. Really high. Really, really high. If Michael Kors himself was like, this isn't an authentic bag, I'd be like, can you check again, Michael? Like, actually. I said, would you be willing to get this professionally authenticated to support your claim? Because I would absolutely encourage that. I know for a fact it is authentic. If you just changed your mind, I don't even really care. Obviously, I could sell this again. Since it is authentic, I just want you to be honest. That is as close as I'll get to rude. Because I knew she was wrong and it was bothering me. They said, the MK doesn't match up on the outside or inside of the bag. I even messaged you about the item before to ensure it was authentic, in which you never replied. So apparently, she messaged me after she bought it asking if it was authentic, and then we shipped it. I don't remember getting that message. I should have replied, yes it is. And maybe that was her whole thing, was like, you didn't reply to me, and so, I don't know. I don't know. All I know is that she said, I was really excited to receive this bag, but sadly it is not authentic and a knockoff. I said, I'm sorry I didn't reply to your previous question, but this is not a knockoff. She said, I had it checked today and they informed me it is. They. Poshmark then interjected, we have requested more photos from the buyer. Thanks for your patience. When she said, I had it checked today, wow, I know it's authentic, now I know they're just lying. Because, like, sometimes people don't know what an authentic bag looks like, right? And so she could have just been like, I really don't think this is authentic, when it was. That could happen. And so I wasn't that angry until she said that she had it checked and it wasn't authentic. Now I know she's lying. So why is she lying? Literally, if you were gonna lie, you could have just said, I never found the bag, and you'd have the bag and you'd have your money back. Like, what is, if you're willing to lie, lie that way. Don't lie like this. Don't lie and, like, call my authenticity of my items into question, because I will not take that well. So I said, okay, well, now that I know the buyer is willing to just outright lie, I'm concerned that she isn't even going to send me back my authentic bag and wallet if this case is accepted and returned to me. I know it is authentic. Posh knows my track record with authentic designer and luxury goods, so I know that you just lied and I now have no trust in your actions from this point out. They just replied, I did not lie, it is not authentic. Then she said again, I was really excited to get the bag and the wallet as it was a gift. Now I'm just disappointed. I've never had this issue before. Well, that's good. Then she sent photos. This was my Hail Mary. Thank you so much for sending photos. Then it says, as you can see in my photos provided, the MK logo is cut off. Any real authentic MK logo is not cut off. That is shown on the bag and on the wallet. So she means on the inner liner. Hopefully we can put this picture up for you because there's no way I can hold it up that you can see it this detailed. She means it says Michael Kors repeatedly on, like, the inner silk, or maybe not silk, but like satiny lining of the wallet and the bag. And she says because it's cut off in parts, like it says Michael and then it would have kept going, but that part of the wallet ended. She said because of that, it's inauthentic. And then she also said, you can even see that Michael Kors is not labeled. And she sends, and this is my favorite part, she sends a picture of the zipper of the wallet. Now I know that I noticed that all of the hardware had Michael Kors on it. So when she sent the zipper without it, I had two options. This is her fake wallet that she's sending me a photo of, or she literally just flipped the zipper upside down. So she saw Michael Kors on the wallet zipper, knew it was there, put that upside down, and took a picture of the unlabeled side. Both of those are ridiculous behaviors. So now I'm like, I'm not accepting this case under any circumstances. I'm gonna fight this to the highest of the Poshmark courts, because now I just think she's unhinged, fully lying, definitely so. Anyway, her sending those photos helped me tremendously. She also sent a photo of the inner lining and the bag, like the made in China thing and the bag code. I assume that's what she meant by identification number. I looked it up. It corresponded to this bag. Also wear and tear on the bottom of the bag, which is just, I love it when people do that. I love it when people are like, this is the reason I'm returning it. Oh, but also let's throw in some other reasons. If that had been her first reason, I literally would have accepted this case. I would have been like, okay, well, I don't think that's much wear and tear, but since you seem to think like a few, like not even, I just don't even barely see wear there, but I would have accepted a case about that. But because she said something I knew was authentic was inauthentic, I decided to argue, and then she decided to lie, and then I decided to call her out on it, and here we are. There is an amount of sass that you can have, and you can't insult someone's personality, you can't insult them personally, you can't swear at them, you can't say bad words, you can't say outright insults. This is about the line I think you can do. I said, thank you very much for including this picture with this code. My photos didn't have the code because I did not foresee this level of duplicity. I get weird in cases. If you enter this code into Google, it will take you directly to this style of bag, a mark of authentication. The Michael Kors logo not being cut off is not a mark of authentication for Michael Kors bags. Also, and this is where I totally won the case, what zipper are you showing there? Our photos clearly show that both the exterior zipper on the bag and the wallet clearly say Michael Kors. She said, I showed the picture of the front and back of the wallet. Clearly the zipper doesn't have Michael Kors on it. I personally went to Michael Kors and they told me it is not authentic. You can also see on the bottom of the bag there's wear and tear. I'm just ignoring that because like, that wasn't your claim. You can throw everything in the kitchen sink in there. I'm not gonna respond to it. So I went to our photos and I zoomed in on the photo of the wallet, and sure enough, it said Michael Kors on the zipper outside the wallet. So I said, zoomed in from our photos of the wallet that we sent you, this is clear evidence that this buyer is purposefully misleading. If for some reason this case is accepted, I will be thoroughly comparing the items you returned to me against my photos and listing description, and will be following up again with Posh support to pull back the funds from this sale if anything is not exactly as it was when we sent it. Because at this point I'm like, why is she doing this? Is she just gonna try? Because there are certain scams people try and do. She doesn't respond to that because it's really obvious I caught her in a lie. Thank you so much for making that easy for me. Random person who sucks. Poshmark doesn't respond to that either. No one responds to that last message. I'm just waiting, like, they're probably trying to talk her down right now on their end. I waited a few days and then Poshmark sends me that email, the dreaded email that means we're not gonna decide this case in your favor. They sent me an email saying, do you have a receipt or invoice for this item to prove its authenticity? And of course I didn't. So I decided I'm gonna try something here because I'm just gonna appeal to Poshmark on their business end. I'm gonna see what happens. I might not win this case and she might send me back a fake bag and I might be screwed. But I was like, I'm just gonna give this one go. I'm gonna appeal to Poshmark. I said, hi, person, because they signed it with one of their names of the Posh support people. As I stated in the case messages, I don't have a receipt or invoice for this bag because it is an item I was given for consignment purposes. You can see in my photos, the SKU on our whiteboard says Polly. She is our most consistent consignment client who never buys fake goods. She is quite wealthy and loves luxury and designer fashion. If you can, please go back and check our other luxury or designer goods with the Polly SKU in them. A few of which have even gone through Posh Authenticate, never with any problems. In this buyer's case messages, I clearly caught this buyer lying. They stated that the wallet doesn't have Michael Kors etched on the gold zipper when I have photo proof that the bag we sent did in fact have it engraved as well as the wallet. They are likely trying to use Poshmark's return policies to swap a fake Michael Kors bag and matching wallet with my bag and wallet. This buyer has already proven in their own words that they are lying. Please stack that up against all my history on Poshmark Canada. I have never fought a case where I thought I was in the wrong, and I have sold over 100 luxury and designer items that have been deemed authentic. I will not pay $30 to authenticate a bag that I know to be authentic already. This buyer is playing us, Poshmark. I was really hyped up when I wrote this. And frankly, I'm shocked that this case is being considered in light of their clearly false messages. Ordinarily, I wouldn't mind a return because I am so confident my bag is authentic that I would easily sell it again, perhaps even for more. But I do not trust this buyer to send me back my authentic bag. I believe they intend to swap out our bags, otherwise why go through all this? They also stated in their messages that our bags did not match the one they already had, implying that they do have access to a similar but inferior bag, which I believe they will send to us in place of our original bag and wallet. Please do not grant this buyer, who I have already proven has lied on this specific case, the power to send me back a fake bag and essentially steal my client's property from me using Poshmark. I thought that was a clever line. Nah. And then I added, I understand that you're in a tough spot here, but if sellers can't resell used good without a receipt, which is something we rarely, if ever, have access to, then how can I run a consignment business on your platform? There needs to be trust in both directions here, between sellers and Poshmark, I mean, and I know that you can see what I can easily see, that this buyer is lying. If you grant this case, what recourse do I have if and when my suspicions are proven correct and there are discrepancies between the bag we photographed and sent and whatever this buyer returns? Sincerely, Stephanie, my name. So I didn't actually expect much at all from that, but they replied, thank you for all that context, and your thorough reply is basically what they said. I have forwarded this to our authentication team and we will look into it further, which was super cool of them to do. And a few days after that, the case was denied. I had no faith because of course we don't have proof. And it's really hard to win cases when the proof just isn't in your favor. But thankfully, the buyer herself did lie. I don't know if she took a photo of a different wallet zipper or if she literally just flipped ours upside down. It kind of looked like that to me. It looked like a picture of our wallet, but just the other side of the zipper, which is just mind-bogglingly ridiculous. But I believe the reason Posh sided with me in this case is because of all the things I pointed out, like, how is anyone supposed to run a consignment business off of this platform if every time someone questions the authenticity of something, you automatically side with them if we don't have a receipt? Why would I have a receipt? That's not how this business really works. Also, like, please stack up my history. Here's how I can prove things given to me by Poly before have been deemed authentic before, by your own authentication team. All of these things, like, sincere, and I understand that they're in a tough spot, and I do, and I think it was good that I added that. I don't know what they said to the buyer. I don't know if the buyer caught herself in any other lies while she was arguing with Poshmark. Unbeknownst to me, I don't know if she was like, but look at the wear and the tear on the bag. And they were like, which is it? I don't know what happened. Outside of those conversations, all I know is what I said and what I stuck to, which is just absolutely unwavering confidence that it was authentic, because it was, and just refuting those claims. I think one of the things that probably helped is they said that to their authentication team, and then the authentication team, hopefully, would know if the Michael Kors logo being cut off at the end of the wallet or interior of the bag is a mark of inauthentic Michael Kors or not. Because that was shown in our photos too, so I knew it was our bag she was showing. So I said, that's not a mark of authentication for Michael Kors bags. And I do believe that that could have been the thing that tipped once it was sent to the authentication team. They could have been like, yeah, that's not a thing on Michael Kors bags. That's a thing on Valentino or whatever. I forget what brand does that. A few, but not Michael Kors. I remained especially respectful to Poshmark, but I also did not just like insult the buyer. I called her a liar because she lied. And I said the level of duplicity, which was a bit cheeky, but she lied. I do think that's fine, but I don't think it's okay to like go any further than that. Like, don't be creepy or combative or cross any lines that you wouldn't want people crossing with you. I knew she was lying. I told her to her face and to Poshmark that she was lying. And thankfully she proved me right probably a few times, but at the very least with the zipper. So that's how you can win a really hard Poshmark case. Obviously that was a lot of headache and stuff to go through, but I really didn't want to deal with a fake Michael Kors bag. And $125 sale is nothing to sneeze at. It's a very good bread and butter sale for us. So like, sorry, I am not accepting this, especially not when you're calling into question the authenticity of my goods, when you're also throwing random stuff in there like, oh, but what about the quality? In sum, these are my tips for cases. Accept as many as you possibly can. Never ever be excessively rude or name call or never swear. Never do anything that you know that Amazon or Nordstrom or whatever wouldn't do to you in their customer service. Try to remember that even if someone's case isn't 100% accurate, that Amazon accepts all returns and they're one of the highest grossing companies on earth. All regular businesses accept returns for whatever reason. And as long as you are getting that item back and you can sell it again, it's really no loss to you. Maybe a tiny bit of pride, but most of the time you don't have to fight cases. And I would say half of all cases, I'd straight up don't say anything, or I say, I accept this case. If instead of opening a case, someone gives you 1 star and then says why and you disagree with that reason, do not. Especially not if it's within the first 3 days. If they did that right after they got it and you know it's within the few hours and they gave you 1 star, I have had someone give me 1 star and then decide they wanted to open a case. So I don't know how exactly they did that. Maybe they emailed support and they did it manually for them, but just because they gave you a star doesn't mean you're in the clear. And if they give you 1 star, you got paid. You can be mad about it internally, I guess. I honestly almost never am, because it's like, and sometimes I'm even like, oh crap, they're right. Like I literally would have accepted a case on that if they just opened one, but I'm happy they didn't, because again, I got paid what they agreed to pay me in the first place. So if someone gives you a 1-star review, don't message them and argue with them about it. Leave it alone. Especially if it's in the first 3 days, they could still maybe figure out how to open a case. So do not message them. Do not poke the bear. They didn't like the thing. You can apologize, or like address it or something like that. Good customer service, etc. But do not argue with them. Don't be like, I shipped this same day. You said ship time. Do not do that. It is not worth your time. It doesn't look very good to Poshmark, to your business, to the customer, to anyone. You just don't need to respond. Sometimes things are actually like worth 1 star, like maybe you messed up. Just note that in your head and do better next time. They're telling you what they want you to change. Be open to changing it. Let's not get into partial refunds actually. It has always been helpful to me that Poshmark doesn't accept partial refunds, because people will be like, especially with bundles, so sometimes people will be like, I have a problem with this one item in the bundle. And again, most of the time I'll be like, okay, send it back. But that's a bigger loss for me if they bought a whole bundle worth of items and they're sending it back for this one item. So it has always been very useful to me that Poshmark doesn't accept partial refunds, because the only options open to the buyer at that point were send back everything you bought along with the item that you have a problem with and all the ones you don't, or keep it and just kind of be okay with that problem. And that's useful because a lot of people do choose to like, okay, well that was a cheaper item in the bundle and I really wanted these things and I bought them, so I'm not gonna go through this whole thing just to buy it all again. So they end up keeping it some of the time. If you were allowed to give them a partial refund, I could see people saying spurious things like, oh, this is slightly wrinkled here, like just anything, or the smell thing, I could see that, and like, well, will you at least give me a partial refund? And the fact that Poshmark is now opening us up to that, I'm a little scared that people are going to be abusing that. I do believe our closet as a policy is going to be like, we don't do partial refunds, you have to return us the whole thing. Unless it is something like where we did screw up and they're like, oh, this has a hole that you didn't see, but all these other items are fine. Absolutely, I will give you a partial refund. I want to have good customer service. I don't want to fight cases. But unfortunately, there's always people trying to take advantage of things. But yeah, don't take it personally as well, because it's about them. It's about them and their personality. But yeah, so most of the time, sometimes it's about you, sometimes you f up. Just admit when you did. Say, I'm so sorry that happened. I accept this return. Please give the buyer their money back, or whatever. That's what I usually say. But if someone's like toying with you, if something sketchy is going on, try very hard to explain it to Poshmark. Try to like, hey man, we're on the same side. We're the ones selling things to these losers who lie to us and cheat us, and they're trying to, you know, I was really proud of that line in that email. Like, they're effectively stealing my consignment clients' goods using your platform. It's like, hey, I need this to not be the case. Like, this is how you're affecting sellers if you're accepting cases like these. So use whatever evidence you have. And if you ever have a case that you're like, I don't know what to say to this person, you can DM me on Instagram or leave it in the comments below, and we can help workshop what you can say to that case below. Or let me know your craziest case you ever had, because, oh, there's some doozies. Eventually, someone's gonna try and screw you over, because that's just how people are. And honestly, lately I've been really disappointed in Canada and Canadians. I had quite a few Canadians open frivolous cases or like spurious cases like that one. Canada thinks we're like so polite, but I haven't been seeing that lately, you know? And people say that about Vancouver, that it's not a very friendly city. And I was seeing that this weekend too. And it's so disappointing, because like our stereotype is to be the nice country. And to have so many people be so rude and entitled and just crappy to each other all the time in it, it's disappointing. So let me know if you have any other questions about cases down below, and let me know what your reaction is to that devil case that I just went through. And if you've had anything like that happen to you, let us know, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for your patience with us while we're transitioning everything over here from like Ethan's jobs to now they're my jobs, and Ethan's trying to video edit, but he's also like doing 16 million other things for his new business. Thank you guys so much for your patience, and there will be another new video very, very soon. I gosh darn hope it. We appreciate the heck out of all of you, and see you next time. Bye-bye. Hello, YouTube. My name is Stephanie. I am the Every Closet in person form. I am a closet, but I've come to life.
I used to be a real closet. Now I'm a real girl.